These are two-player games, so I really don't have much of a choice. Alright, come on out.
Alright. We're going for the sequel in the whole, this game mode is a masterpiece. A pretty obvious one, and quite honestly, it is the most deserved one, but this is Polluted Wasteland. But more specifically, why Polluted Wasteland is a masterpiece. Unlike the original game modes in the main game, these three game modes have their own maps and cannot be switched to other maps, and you cannot make any sort of setting changes in these game modes. They all have their own maps, and today this is Polluted Wasteland. Polluted Wasteland has its own map, and quite honestly, it's pretty nice. It's quite much like an experimental but also like an abandoned facility. It has been completely overrun to some sort of freak abomination, and freak abominations is something we'll be talking about much later. The very first wave we have are the abnormals. However, they aren't normal. Well, kind of obviously. Modifiers that are activated in Polluted Wasteland basically gives the troops or enemies steroids every single time you spawn in, having more and more HP. So yeah, that kind of sucks. At around wave 5, we get the speedy enemies, which are called mutated speedies and have a lot more HP than usual and are of course fast. Nothing too special, but I mean, on wave 7, these different looking enemies you've never seen before actually appear. These guys are called polluted hazmats, or just hazmats. And instead of the yellow ones that you basically see in all the other game modes, these guys are white. Yes, white. And they have a ton of more HP. So this is probably the most difficult game mode, or at least difficult round, so far into your journey, which is basically the start. On wave 10, the boss, well, abnormal boss, is now the mutated boss and has now 500 HP. Basically going from around, what was it, 120 to 125, all the way up to 500, which is quite insane enough. But if you do have a lot of spammy enemies with a decent amount of damage, he isn't too bad. On wave 13, a familiar foe appears, and these are the shadow guys. However, you can see the purple veins all around them, which clearly shows that they are full of steroids, and it's kind of a little bit of a way to show that they definitely mean business. On wave 19, we fight a pretty boss, the Necromancer. He has the power to resurrect the dead for a split second before they eventually all die, and he dies as well. Around wave 20, we get our brand new enemies, and these are the Toxics. Yeah, that's literally what their name is, Toxics. Not Green Lanterns or some sort of like glow sticks. Instead, we have these guys that are Toxics, which when they die, they leave a puddle of green mist. When an enemy actually walks on them, they actually regenerate a huge portion of their HP. On wave 22, speaking of problems, we have our strongest boss fight probably in the entire game so far, and this is the Amalgamation. This giant shirtless, I don't even know how to call it. Fun fact, I don't even call this guy Amalgamation. I actually call him Algamation. I don't know why I call him like that, but that's just how I call him. And basically, he has 8,000 HP. What's worse is that almost every single time you actually damage him, I'd say like every 3 to 5 seconds, he spawns a bunch of little minions that also are kind of beefy, having 160 HP. The second you complete this wave, another one of these guys spawns in the very next wave, and probably the very next wave, and wherever next wave, until eventually he's just spammed throughout the entire game. Wave 26 hits, and we see a brand new enemy, and this is the Circuits. I think it's every single time one of these dies, a bolt of lightning just comes from the sky, electrocuting mostly every single one of them nearby, making them go insanely faster and faster until eventually they are going faster than the speed of light. And speeding their way into the wave 28 is another speedy enemy, and these are the Rushers. And I like to call them the SWAT guys, with giant pieces of armor and are able to just sprint across with a shitload of HP. And also, much more worse and atrocious is that they are spammed like crazy. Wave 30 has something completely different in store for you. Wave 30, we fight the best mini-boss in the entire game, the Abomination. Remember the tank that is now dead in the ground because of the new reworked Fallen mode? With an insane 20,000 HP hit points, this guy is of course fast. And having a decent amount of a armor platinum, I guess, thing doesn't make it any less reassuring. But don't worry, because once you get him down to 6,000 HP, he throws a tantrum and somehow blows apart one of his bigger heads, and with the other secondary head and controlling this guy, he goes full on Super Saiyan and smashes his PC setup, fuming rage radiating from his entire body, and not gonna lie, he is fucking awesome. One of my favorite mini bosses in the entire game. At around wave 34, these new enemies come around, and these are the radioactive slimes. So remember those fatties basically back in Fallen mode where they would go super fast and after killing them they would slow down or even stun you? Well, in this game mode, they are basically like them but on steroids. Basically, every single time you kill these guys and they are close to any nearby towers, they will stun them. But not only that, but after dying the first time, they will spawn 3 other mini duplicates of themselves. Speaking of stunning towers, at wave 35 we have our Templar, or I'm sorry, in this game mode, Warden. And he is basically the laser shooting guy we've seen in Fallen mode and all the other game modes. Finally, nearing the end of this game mode, wave 49, we see these new enemies, which are the super toxics. Yes, toxic, but super toxic. So yeah, basically every single 8-year-old. Each of them having around 12,000 HP, and there's like 9 or 10 of them, so they do get spammed. Wave 40, the final wave of this damn adventure and kind of epic journey, we have first off a very spammed wave, nothing too different there. However, nearing the wave of this wave, we see 4 giant crow-like robots before you actually get to fight the nuclear monster. This behemoth has totally 1.5 million. He is quite massive and is quite honestly very fucking cool. However, before you can even deal damage to him, you have to take down his Molten Titans, aka his Nuclear Guardians. Basically come out, and each and every single one of these 4 cyborgs have a total of 80,000 HP, and there's 4 of them, so good luck with that. As the Guardians go around, they can actually stun any of your towers that are actually close to the path, which is basically all of them. After dealing with those hurdles, you finally get to face off against the final boss, and this is the Nuclear Monster. With a shit ton of HP, however, very slow, thankfully. This guy's first ability is... His second ability is spawning a bunch of enemies by screaming out into the void, but not only that, but actually slowing down your troops' rate of fire. His third ability is the laser beam, which is kind of cool, not gonna lie, kind of taking that part or idea from the Templar or Warden. His fourth and final ability is, I guess, spilling a bunch of Mountain Dew everywhere. I don't really know what this one is supposed to be. At around 650,000 HP, he goes Super Saiyan. Repeat his moves over and over again until you finally actually kill him.
Fucking shit on! Oh my god!
Quite honestly, this game mode is fucking awesome. Basically the best game mode currently in TDS. There is nothing you can do to convince me otherwise. This is by far the best game mode. The Polluted Monster's moves he can actually do are pretty cool and I guess not really too creative, especially the laser one since that's literally from the Warden. However, it's just taken to the boss, but I still think it's pretty cool since a boss can actually have those moves. And I love the stunning animations that this guy has and all the other stuff that he can do. And quite honestly, every single time I play Polluted Wasteland, I always have a blast since this guy is fucking awesome and all the other enemies that are actually in this game mode. Quite honestly, there's no other game mode that is just as difficult, but also as fun and epic than Polluted Wasteland.